as he was doing the speech, I remember I ran to the fucking bathroom.
Blew it?
I blew the biggest mountain of coke, and I was like, I gotta figure this the fuck out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Listen, I'm a Barber podcast. I'm Jay Hollywood, and I'm here with a friend of mine of over 15 years, my boy Sal. Sal, what's going on? Welcome.
Thank you for having me, man. I told you, man, I've been excited from day one when he told me about this, so.
Me too. I feel like I talked to Mark, I talked to so many people, but I don't think any of them know you like I do, and I don't think anybody knows me.
No,
as
yeah.
well as you.
Yeah. Like I said before, dude, a lot of people know Jay Hollywood, but nobody knows Jay Slick. And when I'm saying that now, people are like, the hell, what is a Jay Slick? Jay Slick is that young kid at the Deffert Mall with girls all around him, an entourage and all that stuff. But he was the guy to know at the time. And I knew him. I did. Yeah. Now here I am 15 years later doing a podcast with him.
I think about that from time to time, and it's like, I crossed you and John at the Deffert Mall, South Jersey people. You know what it is.
Yep.
And it was weird because I always loved to just hang around with a bunch of people, and then like when I met you that day, I'm like, he's cool. And then next thing I would have never saw this 15 years later. It's like all the shit we did, the fun we've had, and also probably the shit we had to deal with. That was always my like cross to bear sometimes, like of all the things we went through over the years. But it's been quite a ride.
Oh, 100%. That's those bumps that we went through is what got us to where we are today. And I wouldn't change anything.
No.
We've had a lot of bad times and a lot of good times and a lot of fucked up times. But yeah, dude, I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, me neither. And you know what? And I guess I want to start this off. I had a lot of time to think about what we were going to talk about and where we were going to take this. And I want to say this in the most respectable way. We were both some zeros when we first met each other. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say that kind of casually because, you know, at the time, you know, we're young kids and we're just looking to be fly. But take it a little step further. When I met you, you were kind of almost in like you weren't really in a stable home.
No, straight up, I was homeless at a point in my life. I was homeless.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you did not put off the perception. You still had your confidence, and it's like, where, like I could go back to myself and go, when I didn't know that we would just go out, have fun. I didn't know what you were going home to.
Right.
And that was always something that when I found out, I was like, holy shit. And now I can sit here and go, I watched a zero story turn into a hero. You married the captain of the Eagles cheerleading team.
Yeah, I did.
You have a beautiful son who I get to finally be an uncle in Hollywood in the fucking mix.
It's an official thing.
Yeah. Plus, you have a beautiful home. Like there was so much, you know, like for the people that maybe are listening right now that may be in that position, you know, what was your mindset that actually kind of launched you to here? Because I never knew what was internally going on in your head. I was more or less just like, I guess it was like an external experience that we had for a long time. It's like, oh yeah, let's go here. Okay, we go here, we go there. What was it kind of for you when you would go home? Like when you didn't have that structure that you were trying to build, like what was that like?
It was depressing, but I didn't let it get depressing at that point in my life. Yeah, I didn't let it get depressing. And like, I don't want to tell daddy stories and all, but I grew up with an abusive Sicilian father. He was abused his whole life. He abused us our whole lives. And it was kind of like I wanted to prove something that I could be, not necessarily better than him, but a better version of myself, like to prove to him. Like, you know, that song, like, hey, Dad, look at me. It was like that kind of was always going on in my head kind of thing. And yeah, I didn't let it get to me too much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had moments, I'll say it as a man, where I cried my eyes out, but nobody knew.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what fed the fire to get me going. I didn't want to just drop out and fail or, you know, just be like, hey, I'm a homeless kid now. That's what I am. Or let me resort to some drugs, you know, to make me feel better. You know me, man. I mean, I've smoked weed. I've done that, but I've never done anything crazy.
Dude, it was even hard for me to get you to smoke weed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's nuts because a lot of the people that I talk to in the shop and I console, a lot of them are into drugs and not even in necessarily a situation you were in.
Right.
more or less just in like, oh, I don't understand life, but also didn't have a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I talked to Polydor and Nick about this on one of our previous episodes. And I was like, what's your definition of success? And, they had theirs, but I guess you're kind of almost a little bit on the same page with me. It's like, no, we're here to still play the game. We're not done.
No.
And I think
Never done.
Yeah, and I think that was what really, one, intrigued me about your personality. Like, you really don't fucking stop.
Yeah.
You don't.
No, to nothing.
That's kind of nuts, man. I've had moments in my life, even before I turned entrepreneur, where I gave up. I gave up on a lot of things just because I was like, I have no guidance. I don't know where to go. I might as well quit.
Yeah.
And I remember Rondell?
Of course.
Rondell used to say, quitters, nobody likes a quitter. I've also come to realize at the right time, though, if you're doing something unproductive, it has to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%.
So let's really bust this down because I think this is fucking hilarious. When we finally hit that 21 marker, I remember you were working at Taylor's. I was bombarding Taylor's bar, South Jersey people, also on another tip.
Yeah, everybody knows Taylor's. If you're our age, everybody knows Taylor's in South Jersey.
I love when we called it trailers.
Trailers, yeah.
That was like a trailer park mess, dude.
I consider myself tailor-made.
Yeah, a little tailor-made. I like that. I like that. When we were there, though, I got some of my craziest lessons there.
Oh, yeah.
Meeting people. And it's funny because most people go out to meet the girls when they go out. I remember when we would have our conversations after the bar closed, it's like, you remember that cat? Like, not a lot of times was it about the women. They were kind of like very monetary. But those experiences kind of shaped me. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and this is where I'm going to ask you a couple questions, like, it shaped you completely differently.
100%.
We went from fighting on the weekends.
Every weekend.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Every weekend. And like we always say, it's nothing to be proud about.
No.
But we were literally fighting every weekend. It was almost like fun. Do you remember like we would be like, oh, tonight's going to be a good night. And that meant that we were going to get into a fight.
So there was some kind of a rumble going on or
something was going to happen.
I think I'm tired of fucking looking at my hand though, 10 years later, and it's just, my knuckles are shifted down, my hands hurt. Like, well, and it didn't happen till like a couple of years ago. It like caught up to us.
Yeah, no, everything's definitely catching up to me, man. I have crooked fingers from Taylor's, and was it the first time you broke your hand when you were with me?
Not the first time I broke my hand, but for the reason I broke my hand, yeah, that was one of the first times that had ever happened. And you know what? I'm not proud of it, but man, that was a bad one.
Bad, but see, I don't want to sound immature, but it was awesome at the same time because to this day, I've seen a lot of fights in my life, a lot. Being a bouncer and all that, and even with my father, how he was. To this day, the hardest hit I've ever seen is from this man right here. And I'm not even just saying that because he's one of my best friends. When he hit this guy, I won't say his name.
No name.
We won't say his name. When he hit this guy and he had a legitimate reason to hit him, it was the first time in my life where I heard bones crack and it wasn't the other guy's bones cracking. It was his hands straight up cracking on this guy's face. And that was something else. And remember I told you, even to the last day I worked there was still blood on that door from that time.
I know, that was really scary for me. As like, young men like can't wait to prove themselves. I can knock this motherfucker out. I never really had that thought, but for the viewers, I'll give you an idea of just how the maturity kind of sets in. Another person we're not going to name was getting involved in some dirty shit, and he made a bad decision with some people. And I remember it's like he pulls up to this guy's house looking to make a transaction of sorts, and the guy just dipped with the money. What he didn't realize was I didn't know what that person needed the money for. I was just kind of helping him out a little bit. When he called me and said, yo, the money's gone. And I'm like, what do you mean the money's gone? Where did the money go? And he was like, I don't know. He said he was going to go in the house, and the next thing you know, he never came out. I'm like, okay, so he backdoored it. And then I remember I saw him that night at the bar. And you know what? And this is where I guess it goes back to the growth. Again, probably like one of my bigger mistakes. I remember I wanted to kill this fucking guy.
you remember you didn't even tell me you were anything about it?
I didn't want it to be broken up. I wanted to end this fucking guy's life right then, and I was that pissed off. But that also probably could go into the fact that I blew probably almost an 8-ball in 48 hours and just was running off of pure fucking adrenaline and anger.
But like I said, you didn't even tell me. We were having a normal conversation, and he came up, and I didn't know this guy at all. I had no idea who he was. And then you're like, oh yeah, and you start bullshitting with him talking, and I was like, then nothing's gonna come about. Just like we were talking to him, and within a second, he's on the floor, and then within another second, do you remember you were in the air?
Yeah, you did grab me, and I think I tried to throw a couple more punches.
You did.
I don't know if you remember this, but when you picked me up, I mean, it wasn't hard for you. My head hit the door frame.
Yeah, we were right in the door frame. Yeah.
I think that probably added to my concussion that night. I'm like, well, I didn't get hit. And I'm like, what was it from? It's probably all the adrenaline. When you picked me up, I was like, doing.
But you did also hit your head when you were trying to get back in, because that is what we did at Taylor's too. Normally when people would fight, you're done, you're out.
Yeah.
I looked at you and I said, go to the back door. Go back to the back door. Go in.
Yeah, who the fuck put the Red Bull table in front of the fucking door?
I don't know.
Like, who did that?
Well, they were doing that because people were sneaking in that back door. Remember, it was all cardboarded out?
Yeah.
And you were ripping through the cardboard. You're like, let me in. I'm like, what the fuck? And the next thing, dong, you hit your head right off the table.
I think I'm starting to understand why Ray Lewis was one of the best linebackers ever to play the game, because when I ran through that wall and didn't know that was on the other side.
Dude, there was nothing stopping you. You were getting back in.
That table stopped me for a good 35 seconds.
But it was enough for, by the time he came to and got up and was looking for you, enough time that you were already back in, and I was able to tell him he's gone.
Yeah.
Which way did he go? I was like, you went down that way. He's down 42, you know? But that was the last time I ever saw him.
I actually saw him in the barber shop, and we locked eyes. And I was just looking at him, and he's with his buddy, and his buddy's getting a haircut.
Yeah.
We just stared at each other, and I looked at my boss after he walked into the lobby, or I don't know if he left, stayed in the lobby. I looked at Ron. I'm like, yo, Ron, I ain't trying to fuck your shit up, but me and that cat got beef.
Yeah.
And he knew it as soon as he looked at me, and I was just like, yo, something good. Now, he never came back, which was cool. But I guess it goes back to, like, I've talked to all my friends about all our growth, and it's like, oh, that is so far behind us, but like still very prominent. Because I remember when I busted my fucking hand up, I lost money. My boss was pissed at me. He's like, what the fuck are you doing still fighting?
You're cutting.
Yeah, it's also my power hand now. It's also the power hand. But let's jump real quick, because, that was a pretty funny story. I get back to thinking about that sometimes, and I'm like, thank God we're not those people. But the elevation, from those moments, man, like when you actually decided, I think it's time to move past bouncing at Taylor's. I remember you did bounce from job to job, just trying to find. I remember you did the masonry shit.
Mm-hmm. I remember all over the place.
Yeah. So, you were even a cop.
Yeah.
You took a lot of things that most people would not do. And I think it's why I love you, dude, because I see you've done so much shit. Like, people praise me for where I came from and where I'm at now. I could give the same shit, because most people don't see the average person and what they're going through.
Right.
Whether it's lack of a home, alcoholic parents, or, drug addicted parents. And it's like, you're like an odd statistic in a really weird way. Like, you technically should not be thriving in life as you can. And I love you for that, dude.
No, yeah. There's times where, like, I'll talk to my wife about that. Like, I tell her there's certain people in my life, meaning you, her, and that might be it right there, dude. Like, you guys are the reason too that helped me get to the next level. You got me in Taylor's.
Yeah.
Where did I meet her at?
I sometimes do regret that, but I know where you're about to go with this.
Right.
Yeah.
I met my wife at Taylor's, and it just got better after that. But that's why I said earlier, dude, I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. That's where I'm at today. I know, like you said, we went from zero to hero, but me and you are the same person. We'll never admit that we're the hero. I don't want to say that I'm the hero, but I did go through a lot of challenges. And the reason why I like to talk about it is because if there are, young people watching this and they think, man, my life sucks. I have an abusive father. I'm homeless. What am I going to do? I'm bouncing from job to job, because I did. And like, and there was times in my life where I was like, damn, am I the problem? am I the reason I can't find the job? But it wasn't the case. It's just like the job I'm at now is where I want to be. I'm happy finally. I'm making decent money, enough where I could, provide for my family, have a nice house, have a nice car. I know it's not all about that, but I'm proud of it. At the same time, I'm proud of what I have. And that's why I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. And I think that journey for people definitely comes to a point where they do give up. Going back to like what we used to talk about with the idea of success, it's like, I just want to keep playing the game. I just want to keep going with what I'm looking for. And there's been times where my goal is, I want to clear this much a month. I can get it. I could not get it. It doesn't matter, because once I don't reach it, I go back to reach it. And if I reach it, then it's like, what's next?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do get that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be about the house, the car, but I think it's what those things provide. Because I think there's a big misconception when people talk about materialistic things. When we're talking Gucci belts and we're talking, mink coats and big chains, it's like, okay, that's
different.
That's superficial.
Mm-hmm.
But as Polydor said, which was so fucking cool, dude, he was like, yo, I got a home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to where it's like, I remember when you bought that house with her and I was like, yo, my man's got a home now.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I know you had talked to me about for a fucking decade.
Dude.
To get right that long. It took it, not to say it took you a decade, but with all the things that were happening in your life, I'm not putting it on like maybe you shouldn't be here. But yo, as I said, this is a real phenomenon statistically of how you got to this place.
I mean, I cried the day, our signing day. Like I had tears in my eyes. It was a very, very proud moment that I never thought that I would be, I would ever get to that. Like I said earlier, like I was always moving forward, always like, I want to get there. But I almost thought like, am I ever going to get there?
Yeah.
And now I'm here, I'm living it.
And
the proudest moment of my life, though, all the stuff that I've ever been through, the proudest moment of my life was when I was able to call myself a dad. Yeah. And I know Polydor touched on that a little bit too, and I feel that. That kid's my best friend, you know that. I mean, it changes you for the better 100%.
Yeah, I'm close to, getting to that journey myself. It used to be, oh man, how trash can we get, and what can we buy, and where can we go? And now I look at it as what can we grow, and not to some degree to where, I'm always focusing on growing my business and the new things. Now I'm trying to grow the podcast, this, that, and the third. But every parent has always told me, it's like there is an unlimited time goal when it comes to children. And I remember being in Mexico with you, what was it, like a couple months ago for Giuseppe's wedding?
Yeah, July.
I remember holding your little man, and I was like, oh, he's smiling. He's just in awe of just like amazingness. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah. And what's funny about Jules too is like, he's not very accepting of people right away. Like every other kid, but you held him. He was fine. He knew you were Uncle Hollywood. He knew it. Like everything was good. Mexico, there we got a million stories there too. But before, I don't want to get off topic, but one thing that I wanted to bring up just for like the viewers particularly, like I said, I know you, like some people may know you the same way, but I have one particular story about you. When I first met my wife, Marisa, I was still bouncing at Taylor's, $11 an hour.
Was that how much it was? $11
an hour, put my life on the line. I literally almost died in that place.
After you're done, we're bringing that one story full circle, but go ahead.
So there's one particular time, I think I might have brought it up to you before, but I bring it up to anybody who says like, oh, you're friends with Jay? How do you know Jay? And I'll tell them the story. I mean, I knew you before this, but this is when you became Jay, my friend, to Jay, my brother.
Which moment was this? Because I could think of a few, but if you have one particular.
Well, there's a million, but this one is one, I literally just got chills thinking about it, that people may think like, oh, what the fuck's a big deal? But it's a huge deal to me. So we were at the Deptford Mall again, and it was when I first met Marisa, and like I said, I didn't have that much money, and we were in the store, and you knew that me and Marisa were about to go on a date. So I was just looking around. We were just doing Deptford Mall things, and I was like, man, I really like those shoes. You know where I'm going with it? I don't know if you remember this.
No.
Okay, so I was like, I really like these shoes, and I looked at the price tag. It sounds like it's like something you would see in the movies, but I look at the price tag, and I'm like, fuck, $11 an hour. I can't pay for this. So you're like, all right, whatever. We go to the food court. You're like, yo, I gotta go. You're like, you dropped your food off to me. You're like, watch this. I gotta go take a piss. I'm like, all right. You came back with those shoes for me, dude. You came back with those shoes for me because you knew how much they meant to me, and you knew I was trying to impress Marisa. And even though it's stupid, it's a pair of shoes. That moment will stay with me for the rest of my life. Because, not that Marisa would be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him because he doesn't have a nice pair of shoes.
Yeah.
But she's my wife today. And that was like an iconic moment with my relationship with her. Like, I went on that date and I felt better.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe if I didn't feel good that night, I didn't feel that, who knows what would have happened. But that's that story I always like to bring up. I tell people about that. That's Jay to me. That's not even Hollywood. That's Jay to me. Just Jay. My brother, who bought me a pair of shoes. Like, I could even get teary-eyed now thinking about it, because I really think a lot. It means a lot to me. And you did that selfishly. You know, people always make the joke like, oh, Jews are cheap, right? And don't take offense to that, because I'll tell you right now, this is the least cheap Jewish guy I ever met in my life. Which leads me to another quick story on my 21st birthday, going back to that.
Now, this one I know.
Was this what you were thinking about before?
I thought this was the moment, but
this moment was the this guy's fucking awesome moment. Is I turned 21 at Taylor's. They let me go. I was 20, being a bouncer. They let me go at midnight so I could celebrate.
I remember that, yeah.
And Jay goes, all right, round of shots for everybody. And we're there with probably like 30 people. I mean, we knew almost everybody in the bar, but there was there was, I don't know, probably what, 250, 300 people.
There was a lot of people there.
To the point where Jay's buying all these shots, Gatorade shots.
Oh, yeah, grape Gatorade.
Grape Gatorade.
Listen, I don't drink like I used to, but grape Gatorade shots, it get you fucking...
Oh, yeah, they get you tuning up, and yeah, it's the best. So Jay has this, he tells the shot girl, yo, bring me 50 shots. Was it 50 or was it like 100?
I don't remember, but I remember she brought it out in a fucking dog.
Yeah, it was like a big, she just started pouring. And Jay's just handing them out. And then this one guy's just standing there, and Jay's like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? And the guy's like, I don't know, like, I'm just blah, 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 whatever his name was. And he was like, you know Sal? You're like, you know Sal? And he was like, who's Sal? You're like, fucking right, you're taking a shot. And this random guy, that's how it was the whole, and then you went on the mic, and you shut the whole club down. And everybody that was on the dance floor at that time took a shot from me. And it was people I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And it was a great feeling, dude. It felt great. You know what I mean? But that's who you are. That's who you are for the, like, I could tell the people that you really care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For people I love in my life, I think some people are very transactional. Like, if they give something, they want to receive something, or if they receive something, they feel they need to give something back. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. I've always been like an agent of creation. You know, like the Joker in Dark Knight, it's like agent of chaos. It's like, shit, I could be an agent of chaos, but I'm not built that way. Right. Like, I love the creation. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think money is money. I think if you got look at this fucking moth. How the fuck this guy?
Does he want a shot?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get him a shot. I don't know. What the fuck's he doing? He's flying over the fucking lights.
That's exactly how you were that night. Like,
this fucking guy's not paying no rent.
Fucking stink bug.
He's a stink. Ty, get him. Ty, get fucking.
Oh, now he's on your shirt, I think. Dude.
What's going on here? What's that?
Yeah, there he is.
This fucking guy's not paying no rent, flying around here like he owns the fucking place.
Jay, you might have to knock him out, dude.
Those days are behind me. Yo, he's right there. He's fucking right there.
Stop.
No, don't stop him. He might stink. Take the glass. Bottle him down. He's fucked now. He ain't going fucking nowhere.
He's banned, dude. He's blacklisted.
Yo, it's kind of like the government. You know what I mean? You don't pay your bills, they fucking lock you up. It's like, well, at least this is a glass onion right here.
We'll take care of him later.
I might let him go. I'm not like the government. I don't bury you to the fucking ground.
Yeah, I hear you.
But the creation part, it's like, I really, for my entire life, no matter who I talked to, who I partied with, like consoled, did business with, I don't believe that there's anything in life more valuable than actually growing a relationship. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like, people really do want it to be transactional. Like, you know, when some people would be, I don't know, going to get something to eat. Yo, you owe me that $7.35. Yo, send me that Venmo. And it's like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, I came out to enjoy this time with you. I always had a rule. And it was like, If I want to do something and I'm inviting somebody, I'm not requiring you to pay. That's what I want to do. And it's like, I want your company, no matter who it is.
Right.
And this is where I say it might be a little arrogant, but dude, that's why I love my life to this day. Like, I really got good reciprocation from just being somebody that wanted to see relationships grow.
Yeah.
For anybody listening, if you have that arrogance to you, it's like, if the money is worth it to you to go do it. I personally don't give a shit. But the real growth is relationships and building positive relationships with people. And I think that's what people miss, man.
That's why I consider myself a rich person, because of the relationships that I've developed over the years.
And you actually do very well financially. So
I do well. I do okay. You know what I mean? But like going back to that, I consider myself rich because of the people I have around me.
I think people miss that. That's a very missed thing, because so many people come into the barbershop and they're always telling me money problems. And I'm like, why do you got to call a Jew for fucking money problems? But like, that go to anybody else.
But that goes back to me, dude. Like, I never really came to you about money problems. Like, that day with that shoe thing, I was just like, I wasn't like, oh, Jay, could you buy me shoes? Like, no, I was just like, oh, fuck, can't buy the shoes. Like, it wasn't a thing to me, but it meant a lot to me that day. And it's funny, like you said, like, I know money doesn't mean shit to you, because there's times where I lay in bed at nighttime where I'm thinking, what can I do to, pay my respects to Jay for all he did for me? And it's hard because
I don't want none.
You don't want anything. You have everything you need. You're happy, and that's great. So what I could give to you is the friendship that we've had.
Yeah, and
I hope that's enough.
Dude, exactly. And to me, that's why I've always appreciated that's success.
Yeah.
That's continuing. Like, if people say, yeah, you got a successful marriage, it's like, you still going? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You still doing good with business? Yeah. Like, failure really comes when you're at the end of the road. And I think when people want to end it for monetary value or something transactional, I'm like, wow, you don't realize the power of a true relationship. Like, since COVID started, I had a lot of people coming into the shop. I didn't give a fuck. I stayed open. Fuck these people.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about how the government played it. It's like, nah, my people are my people. They give me just as much love as I give them.
Right.
The same respect. So when I stayed open, a lot of them were like, yo, I need to figure out something. I got to figure out this money situation. And I'm like,
all
right, look, I can't give you money. For me, it doesn't work like that. Like, if you're in a tough spot where money can fix it, then all right, yeah, I could kind of maybe bend on that. But I also look at it like this. We sat down with a couple of different people, and I would call some of my friends that I knew were established in other areas. I didn't personally do it, but over 8 six-figure businesses were built in my barbershop over COVID. I never took $1. I don't want the money. I want them to do well, so that now we have a new aspect to talk about.
Right.
Like that's what I was always looking for in life from merely anybody. You meet somebody and it's kind of like, you start off basic conversations like, yo, this cat's really fucking cool, whether it's a girl, your homie, like acquaintance. It's like, all right, sometimes to get a better relationship, you need to open up more communication. So what more do you share?
Right.
To me, growth is ever sharing.
Right.
You never stop that. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And that was always like a hard thing for me. I never saw the same reciprocation from the same people. It was more like 5% of people, like you. I got a couple others. Actually, some of the guys that are on this show were part of that.
Right.
I guess enjoyment for me.
Mm-hmm.
But let's bust this for a second though. Your wedding. Mind you,
I will say it was probably the best wedding I've ever been to. I'm not just saying that because it was mine.
Me too. That was epic, dude.
I wish I actually had it. I probably do have a picture in my phone of how you started the night and then how you ended the night.
I had my stripper outfit on.
Yeah. Glitter cowboy hat, suspenders, and no shirt.
Yeah. Middle of the wedding.
Remember the one picture you're like this?
Oh, yeah.
It's a professional
They
picture.
said Magic J. I was like, there was some magic in the air that night. Had nothing to do with a magical white powder that brought on my superpowers that night.
And then you gave that iconic speech.
Speech was, I did that on the fly.
Yeah, I figured. Well, you kept telling me leading up to, you're like, yo, I got some. And you were saying that. You're like, I'm not even writing it down because.
Okay. I'll even say it to you now. I completely lied. I had a full, I timed it out. It was going to be like 2.5 minutes. I hate dragging on wedding speeches. Anybody that's fucking taking 10 minutes to say a wedding speech.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nah, when you're saying it generic, and it's like, when I was listening to Joe make the speech, I was looking at my speech, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, so you actually did have it written down?
I had like really strong bullet points that I was like, all right, I'm going to tackle this in pieces, but it was enough to break it up.
Right.
And I remember I'm listening to Joe say the speech, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm completely in the dark now. I'm like, he had stuff that like I didn't have, but like we shared a lot of the same material, and I'm like, okay. So as he was doing the speech, I remember I ran to the fucking bathroom.
Blew it?
I blew the biggest mountain of Coke, and I was like, I got to figure this the fuck out. And then
Tiki's like,
he saw I was juiced up. I remember asking him for the glasses, and he was like, what the fuck do you want empty glasses for? I'm like, listen, dude, hear me the fuck out. That speech that I told for your wedding, the broken glass speech, I've been asked to make that speech 7 or 8 times for different people at different events.
Yeah, I believe it, dude.
That was iconic.
I should put it on YouTube, dude. I bet it'll get a lot of hits.
Yeah.
And that, like you said, it was just off the rip. Like,
you know, that was one of the few moments in my life where I was so obviously with all the, the Coke and the drinking, I was like I was in my field. I was like, damn, fuck, I'm going to let this wedding know how I feel about this shit. And I remember after I got done, and I was like, let's all have a full, I forgot what it was. But I was like, oh, let's do a full thing here. And then everybody started cheering. And I was like,
yeah, people, because you're like, everybody stand up too. Everybody was standing up, cheering. Everybody had that. Yeah, it was a great moment. Another moment in my life where I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, I teared up. I was fucked up. I was like, fuck, man, they're going to catch this on camera. But you know what, though? Again, wouldn't trade that moment. I wouldn't trade that moment for anything, because everybody won. It was another creation where it's like everybody won that night. I was watching people in the crowd as I was just kind of doing the walk around. And after I was saying, some people don't clean up their messes, they leave it for other people. And I remember when I said that, I looked around, and there were a couple people that went from smiling to just like almost like an awkward cricket silence. Like, what is he going to say next?
Right.
And I was like, well, this is why we're here. These 2 people cleaned up their mess every time. And I wish that was so much more understood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So much more understood.
Well, dude, like, I feel like that speech opened up some gates for you too, where we did have Eagles cheerleaders there that night.
Yeah, they were cool with me up until they found out I was a Cowboys fan.
They were vibing with you, and then they were like, wait, what?
Remember that picture? This was before they knew. They're all like, and they're like, you're a fucking cow. Oh, the shit talk after that. Thank God I like ran outside to smoke a cigarette. I'm like, I was getting roasted. That one chick had it out for me too. She was like, I really can't believe that. You were allowed to speak at the wedding, and you're a fucking Cowboy. She's the cheerleading cow. I'm like, my bad.
Dude, that's how, you know me, I'm not an Eagles fan. And people, how are you not an Eagles fan? You're married to the captain of the cheerleading team.
Yeah.
It happens. Shit happens.
Go real quick. I bet the Giants +7. And I want to bring this up because I've mentioned this in future or previous episodes, actually. This podcast was started off of a parlay that I hit that happened to have the Giants +7 against the Vikings in the fucking playoffs.
I'll take that loss for you. I'll take that loss.
Absolutely. I love the fucking, that was a huge dub, man.
Yeah.
But
you told me you were going to do that too. You're like, oh, no offense to you, man, but I got to do it. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
I wish Kurt, because I love watching the Vikings play. I think it's a really exciting team.
Oh, yeah. The best receiver in football right now, one of the best running backs, even though he's probably.
I was going to say, I'm more, love Jettas, love Jefferson. Bigger fan of Dalvin Cook. He won me my fantasy championship. What did he have that run? Like 3 or 4 years ago where he was just a fucking tank?
Yeah, it was against the Lions, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a big game. And I just remember watching it like, oh my God, dude, no way Dalvin Cook is taking me to the promised land.
Yeah.
And he did.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you're saying. Like that whole year, it was a beast, dude. But at first, because he got that shoulder.
Yeah. A little disappointing.
Yeah. But whatever.
You think they're going to do anything this year coming up?
Nope.
Oh, no.
I don't say it, dude. I actually wanted them to get Lamar. Lamar Jackson, that was like a rumor.
You must be out of your fucking mind. Fucking way.
It was a rumor. But now they got OBJ. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to do anything. And I'm scared that, Jefferson's going to want out because he wants to win while he's in his prime.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about that too, because how many times are we talking to shop about Adrian Peterson?
Yeah.
Like,
That guy not win a Super Bowl.
yeah. And I think, the new Adrian Peterson probably going to be Derrick Henry. If he doesn't get to a squad that actually can produce like the algorithm to win the Super Bowl, it's like I think he might just go off as one of the best running backs that never got nowhere. Yeah. Another like AP.
Yeah. Waste of talent.
Excuse me. That was some serious shit. But, I want to ask you something, going back to like, how we kind of like went through like the progressions of like your different jobs. And you don't got to go too crazy into this, but when you were a cop, I remember this is where a different level of my understanding of you kind of had to come into play. And I guess this kind of focuses on anybody listening that can't make a change or the chips are stacked against them. How long was your process just to become a cop?
Just to become it?
Yeah, not even like when you were actually rolling for the department.
2 years.
2 years.
It's a 2-year process.
So let's start with, you've got 2 years invested, right? And the beginning pay for a cop salary is not phenomenal, but it's just enough to kind of get you by.
If that.
Damn, did you hear that?
Yeah.
So I'm just fucking game crashing down. As long as it's not my bong, I don't give a shit. But how many people, actually, I'll say I know a lot of people that are so endowed to time, they don't make a change. And, there was a person in my life that I spent a lot of time with that was tough to make a change. But, I feel like a lot of people don't know when to make that switch.
Oh, yeah.
We talked in Mexico, and you had said some shit to me where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know.
I cried to you there.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah, man.
And that alcohol was shitty. That wasn't drunk.
No.
That was like that was real.
Yeah, that was some shitty alcohol there. But yeah, that night when I did talk to you, another good point that you brought up, like that helped me make the decision to where I'm at now again. So it was another key moment in my life where you were involved. Because not a lot of people knew what I was going through besides Marisa. And, it's good to have another male figure to talk to about that stuff because you get it. And like, there's no shame in crying when it comes to stuff like that. I was pouring my heart out to you, dude. And you helped me open my eyes. I mean, right after that, I was getting out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to go too in depth with it, but yeah, it was a shitty moment in my life, but
you made the commitment, whether it was my word, your drive, you made the change.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, for anybody listening, there is always a change that you can make, no matter how deep into the time frame that you're in, how much you're invested. I was invested at my shop for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And I got fucking butterflies like every day. I already knew I was going to leave soon, and I'm just putting on face. And it was like this facade of just like, how am I just going to get through the fucking day without them feeling like they know, which they knew. I was just playing that situation in my head. Like,
and it's a scary feeling, dude, because you're something that I could give advice to is it's very hard, but don't give a fuck about what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Worry about the people that are close to you. I worry about what you think about me, what my wife thinks about me, what my family thinks. But when it comes to other people and it comes to your happiness, don't give a fuck, because that's what I felt trapped. And I told you that now. Like, I feel trapped almost. And you said, you're like, who gives a fuck what they think?
Yeah. They ain't paying the bills.
Yeah, they ain't paying the bills. It's like, that's my advice to anybody watching too. Like you said, it's never too late to change. I don't care how deep you're in it. There's always a way out. Always a way out.
Yeah. I think people that get stuck, it's very difficult, because I've been stuck. And I've been stuck in a very crucial turning points in my life to where I'm like, once I stop this, that's it. Like, it doesn't matter what I feel after this moment. I was just like, the few times I had to make that choice wasn't an overnight decision. That was sometimes months, years of going, wait a minute. It has now started that this may not be what I had thought it was supposed to be.
Right. I mean, I was stuck for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I was stuck.
But you had, so something I sometimes wish would have happened in those moments of my life were that it only took 6 months. Right. I wish some of the things that like I knew I was going to drastically alter would have only been a 6-month thought process, to where it's like, okay, I got to go.
Right.
Some of them were like when I left the barbershop. That took me a full year.
Oh, I know.
And that was a year to
about
make
it
the
for so
choice,
long.
not like to actually say, yo, I'm out of here. It's like a year, and I started thinking, how?
Right.
It was a year prior where I'm like, so I guess, what, 2 years of sitting in like this.
And what was holding you? Was it too, you were worried about what people were going to think about you and stuff like that? Was that a big factor in it?
A little bit. It's like, oh, he's out. He's not in the shop no more. What's going on?
Yeah.
And I think,
and it's crazy to think now, right? Like, fuck it, who gives a shit? But at that time,
it feels like it's real.
Yeah, dude, it fucks with your head.
I think what was truly, I think it's just fear. And I think that's for most people. It's like, they always got those little anagrams or whatever. It's like false evidence appearing real, the whole thing of fear. And I kind of look at it as like those moments I was just scared. I was scared to see what was on the other side. And that's it. It was just, I didn't.
And that's normal. It's normal for people to feel that, but you got to fight through it.
But what I start to see is normal now is that they don't fight. There's nobody really fighting for that. Or no, people are fighting for it. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like the percentage of people that are actually fighting for their right to have something better or to have a better outlook, perspective, situation, whatever, they're like caught up in what they think it's going to be. And I think for the longest time with the main decisions I made to switch my life, I really was just like, fuck, I have invested so much time.
Right.
What is out there? What is on the other side? Because, they say the grass isn't always greener. It's like, well, it could be if you just got shitty grass. Because, I've watered plenty of situations for years. It just never grew.
Right.
And I'm like,
you ever try Scott's triple action?
No, I'll be honest. Sometimes I am a little Jewish, and I buy the off-brand.
But there's actually a sale right now, Home Depot.
Really?
Yeah, you get another bag of some other shit, and it makes the grass greener on the other side.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My grass for the first time that I've been able to maintain has been the greenest it's ever been, and
it makes you happy.
Yeah,
I have pictures on my phone of my lawn every single year since I bought my house.
Yeah,
I take pictures. I take pictures of my lawn when I'm done mowing it.
You're definitely a dad now.
I'm a dad.
You're a dad. I'm looking at the grass that I'm rolling up, and you're looking at the grass that you're cutting. It's like different levels of grass.
Yeah, for sure. But dude, not to change the topic at all, but
shoot,
I have a funny story too, going back to my 21st birthday, with the fact that, you are Jewish, and I fell asleep.
Well, we're real quick. I like to say Jew-ish. Like there's a hyphen in between the W and the I.
Ish, I would say. So yeah, you are Jewish. And I guess that's why, which leads me to what I'm about to say. I fell asleep on my 21st birthday, and I'm pretty sure
remember that.
Pretty sure it was you who drew swastikas all over my face.
Yeah, that was me. That was definitely me.
Oh, and you gave me a Hitler mustache.
I figured if I did that, no one would expect me to do that.
Right.
So it would have looked better when you woke up. I was like, who did that? It's like, clearly not me.
Yeah, no, exactly. I didn't even think it was you. I'm like, who the fuck did Jay's going to be offended?
I forget who did it, actually.
I know I
put a couple, but I didn't do it all.
There was dicks on my face. And
I didn't draw I swear to God, I didn't draw the dicks. The swastika I might have went with.
We already had crazy hair that night because I had a mohawk at the time. I had a pink mohawk with green sides. You had ice blue hair with glitter in it.
Yo, the ice blue hair. I remember, I have a picture of us sitting at my computer at 7 o'clock in the morning in my parents' basement. Yeah. Everyone's bombed.
Carla's about to go to school. And it was with Carla.
Oh, hold on.
You should do that story.
You just sparked up.
That was that same night.
That was that night.
It was that night. You decided to go to sleep because you had to go to work the next day. Because that was a Sunday. We went to the Phillies game.
Yes.
Remember, we tailgate. Then we went back to your house. You got wrecked. Got swastikas, stuff all over me.
Dicks on the face.
Dicks on the face. Literally, there was one jizzing in my mouth.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
But I'm going to get to what you were about to say. But the funny thing is, you guys didn't tell me that you drew on my face.
No.
And I woke up and we went to the bar.
Yeah.
We went to Harper's.
Yeah. With
dicks on my face.
If I could be honest with you, I usually look in a mirror just real quick. Like I'm vain, but like not bad. I'm gonna look at myself.
Well, I was high when that happened. I was out of it. That was probably the craziest I've ever been. So I remember somebody waking up like, "Come on, let's go," and we just jumped right in the car.
Yeah, we did fire you up.
Yeah,
Wait,
fuck,
you
right?
drank all right, you remember this? You took the last handle that we had of Smirnoff.
Smirnoff.
It was a good, like, maybe eighth of the bottom, and
Maybe even more, dude.
you took it down.
Because
I got scared.
I was in that moment, like I said, we were borderline alcoholics almost, like I always say. And in that moment, somebody said to me, like, "Yo, you won't chug that."
I might have actually pushed you to that. And years later, I apologize for that.
That's all right. I mean, it was a fun night. We have stories like 15 years later talking about it. So, but yeah, I chugged that bottle, but that's what passed me out and got me the dicks on the face. So yeah, we went to the bar, and was that the same night with the biker gang there?
No.
That's a different night.
That's
We have a million stories there too. I almost got my hand broken.
I'm still surprised you weren't arrested, though, for what happened a little bit after. Like that, you and DLC got on
the
bus
other
with my sister.
That's what we were about to. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah, Chase. Check this out. This fucking guy. I go to sleep. Right, I got working a little bit, and
Literally, you went to sleep at like 7. And would you have to be in work at 9?
yeah, why I actually went to sleep, I don't know.
Well, you didn't. We'll get to that. So go ahead.
So you know what this fucking guy does? He literally wakes up and he decides to walk my sister to the bus. Carla was what?
She was a freshman.
No, because they would have never let that slide. Or was she?
I think she was at Highland at the time, dude. I think she was in high school.
Yeah, because you had to look like you could have got on a bus.
I had a book bag on with a mannequin head sticking out of it.
Yeah.
It was the one that you used to practice cutting hair on.
Yeah, Kyle.
I think Carla has a picture of it somewhere. But yeah, Kyle's sticking out of my book bag, and we literally have beer cans in our hand and school books. And we're pretending to be students. And I actually didn't get on the bus, but a friend of ours did.
Wait, you didn't get on the bus?
I didn't.
Aunt did.
He gets on the so the school bus pulls up, he gets in, he's holding his little books, he's acting like he's a little school kid, he gets on the bus, and all the kids are looking at him, the fucking bus driver has no idea. At this point, he just lets him on with a beer in his hand at 7 a.m.
That shit ain't going down right now.
And no, and you're trying to fall asleep, and we're like, fuck, dude, like he just got on the bus, and the bus takes off, the bus leaves. So we're like, what the hell's going on? Next thing I know, like we're trying to call him. I have his phone in my hand.
Oh shit.
So we're like, shit, what the hell's going on? So we start walking back. We're like, I gotta go tell Jay, like he's gonna get in trouble. He's going to school. He's drunk. He's high. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not even supposed to be on the bus. Like, he can get arrested for this shit. Long story short, we see him running back down the side. Oh, here he is. So he's running up to us. And I'm like, yo, what happened?
Hold on. Do you hear that?
Is that sirens or is that the dogs?
That's the dogs.
I thought it was like police sirens.
Oh, it was sirens? Dude, do you hear these fucking dogs going nuts?
Yeah.
Man? They're out of their fucking minds. It's what mastiffs will do. Big motherfuckers, they just...
But, yeah, going back to that, so Aunt runs out. I'm like, yo, how'd you get off the bus? And he said, he goes, stop the bus, I gotta take a shit. The bus driver says, what? Stop the bus, I gotta take a shit. And the bus driver stops the bus. He opens the door and runs. He runs to your house. And at this point, we go back to your house. You're trying to pass out, and we jump on top of you in the bed.
Yeah, somebody's elbow just...
I think it was mine.
Felt that.
I think it was mine, yeah. And we woke you back up. And
I think it knocked the drunk out of me, though, because I was more like I was like, whoa, like a shot came from hell.
But then you took the beer out of my hand.
Did I drink it?
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
And you stayed up the rest of the night, and then you went to work.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then that was a moment in my life where, you remember I was like living at your house?
Yeah.
I stayed at your house. Like, I love your parents. They're like my second family. You know what I mean? Like I said, there was times in my life where I didn't know. At that moment, I was at my mom's sleeping on a couch. That's where I was. Yeah. So what was the difference if I was sleeping on a couch there or sleeping on your parents' couch? And I got to be with my best friend. You know what I mean? So I was literally living at your house. Your parents took me in. So if they're listening, thank you. I love you guys. You guys helped me out a lot.
It's funny. Like my dad sees so many people like that are in and out of the shop.
Yeah.
He's got like a strong vibe that he's like, yeah, I know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Even if he doesn't say much, he's like, Junior.
Yeah.
Just gives you the fucking nod and just
yeah.
No.
I'm still jealous of that motherfucker too.
Why, the Mustang?
No, the fucking rock hard abs he has. How old is he?
He's 57.
Do you remember that picture you took with him?
Oh, he outshined me.
And he put the shirt in his mouth?
Oh yeah, he outshined me. He was
Dude, I
ripped.
wanted to kill myself when I saw that.
Dude, he's more ripped than Camden Cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's that cut, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. And it makes me upset. I mean, I love him.
Yo, but you know what though? I have the same bone disorder that he. Like,
Yeah.
So he, I guess, if you want to say it transcended to me, but it's like, you know what? I've told you plenty of times. If we're not in the gym, our bodies literally start to deteriorate.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the pain and all that shit that we always talk about, like how I could smoke so much fucking weed. But me watching him, and I guess this also goes back to like role models. Like I could say me and my pop probably never had like a lot of conversation. But one thing I was able to do was watch how he moved.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like some of the people that influenced me in my life were just people I watched move.
Right.
I almost feel like sometimes, like, you know, when people say like, actions are better than words. It's like, I've had a million people say things to me that never fulfilled what they said.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would do it at such a small percentage just to pacify me.
Yeah.
But it's like, when you see people's actions, when they put the action behind the word, it's like, you can be the influence that you believe you are.
Mm.
And it's like watching my pops, dude. I have more injuries than him. I think he's in like the 40 to 50 range. You know what I mean? And if you really average that out, that's one break a year. He's been doing great since he had his like gym regimen. Like he hasn't broken a bone in a long time, knock on wood. But watching him, dude, and you know, I wish I wish there was more young men sometimes or more young men that have their fathers in their life like you are to Jules, you know, because you understand the validity of that, just like Polydor does, just like all the men in the world that really understand like what it is when you have a lack of something. You know, like I've always said, I may have lacked conversation. Like my parents didn't really talk to me. They just provided and showed what to do.
Yeah. I've even seen it being at your house, seeing your parents, how they are. Dude, I saw your dad get up every morning at 5 a.m. and go to work. And I was awake and I was probably downstairs drinking at the time or doing something. And he would just be like, "Morning, Sal." And then he would go off to work. But I watched and I remembered that. And I remember your mom coming down and working on the computer right next to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just a lifestyle, dude. But I watched everything and I have a lot of respect for them too. That's why this past week when I was down, I was like, I want to see your mom.
Yeah. I actually told her and she was like, "Oh, I wish I was down there." I was like, "Yeah, he's down there with the family."
Yeah, she wants to see the baby, so I wanted to go see her. But next time.
Yeah.
I'll see her there.
Dude, the arcade was so fun. We'll have to get into that in another segment. But
you know, Ripley's and everything.
Yeah, I guess, dude, like, you know, and this is your first time coming on here. It's really cool that like even I can hear some of these perspectives from you, you know, since you've had your family. I remember we were talking in Mexico and I was like, I don't think like your best friends or the people that are in your life truly are there every fucking day.
No.
I feel like sometimes that becomes very, very monetary. You start going, "What's up?" "I don't know. You saw me yesterday." Nothing's up. You know, there's no room for growth. Like some of my closest friends, I'm actually the farthest away from.
Right.
And not necessarily
That's
from
because
a emotional standpoint.
I know what you mean.
Like physically.
You're physically away from them, but it's because you're closest. That's the reason why they're their closest friends, because they're the ones that are doing things and being productive. And that takes them away from you or, you know what I mean, other people. And that's kind of like me. Like, I don't really have I have friends, but like you said, people who I see on a daily basis, it's very little. And I can easily say, yes, I see you once a week, maybe once every other week to get my hair cut. But if you weren't a barber, you'd still be that close person who you are to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm glad to say that you could cut my hair too. We could, you know, shoot the shit all the time. But I know you're that person I could always call and you'll answer.
Yeah.
Like when at Taylor's, when I said, "Jay, I just got jumped."
That pissed me the fuck.
How fast were you there?
Almost crashed my car. Thank God I was all coked up that night because I was definitely waved the fuck out.
Because I think that was the same night that you were knocked the fuck out on the couch and I woke you up.
That was the secret, straight up.
Yeah.
If I could tell you the truth now, years later.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know that was, I could tell because I'm like, you know, you're laying on the couch. I'm like, "Jay, wake up. And I'm like, "Stay here. I'm going to drive you home." I go to the bathroom. I come back. You're gone. I look at the parking lot. I don't know what was bumping. Something was bumping and the Tibby's rolling out.
Aston Martin music.
Yeah, that's.
I still, to this day, I think that song was made in 2007? Still listen to that fucking song.
Yeah, it's great.
Fucking amazing.
We got a lot of songs that we could.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, your next episode, I'm going to have a little playlist set. We'll get all jazzed up right before we do it.
Oh, yeah. Till the world ends.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go back and think of some of those songs now. Oh yeah,
That whole CD.
the whole CD.
Yeah.
Were we still making CDs back then, or was it like
Yeah, I think Carla was burning CDs for us.
like there was still a process of burning CD? I don't think that happened no more. You got ready.
That's how long we've been friends.
Since CDs.
We were burning CDs.
Chase, we've been friends since CDs. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, yo, look, I'm happy you came on today, man. We gotta wrap it up a little bit, but yo, absolutely, we gotta continue this because you know what?
Yeah, we got a million stories.
And not, you know what? And not just a million stories, but like I feel like those stories also like grew concepts for us, and I feel like that's the beauty of like where I guess growing relationships and keeping them strong because you want to grow the other. You know, I feel like that's and also something I always wanted to put on a podcast. Like it's like, yo, there's people out there that want to see you do good and want to see you grow. It has nothing to do with transactional value. It's like if you believe in people that want to grow the world, it's like, well, be part of the world they grow because they grow your own too.
Well, that's why when you first told me you were into this, that's why I wanted to do it too. For anyone who's young watching and all that, like I said, there's a way out, and the grass is greener, even if you don't use Scotch triple action.
Well, you did say really merely just because it was on sale, but guys, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Thanks.